Morning, Dave. Well, I'll just start right here. A question on Jonesy. With the night like they had last night, what kind of an impact can that make for this group?
Well, he's continued to play well. I don't think last night was was anything different for him from his performances throughout the year. He's been solid. He's been steady. He's a calming presence for us, and he did a nice job for us last night.
You mentioned Steve Briere and the difference that he can make with him, with Ruby. What have you seen so far through the first handful of games?
Well, those guys, I mean, they're working hard together. That's it's a daily process, and the biggest thing is the relationship between those guys as a goaltending tandem, and Steve as their goaltending coach. And we're still early in the process. We're now getting into month 2, and those they're obviously building a strong relationship and continuing to do the daily work, and that's what needs to happen.
Now, last night you had Kiki and Sprong had great games. How much of a challenge has it been to find those guys consistent playing times? It seems like a little different than last year.
That's not a challenge. I mean, there's competition to be in the lineup. That's just the that's the nature of the beast. And those guys went in last night, and did some nice things for our team, and were a big part of a win. You can look back to to previous games, to other players that have been in the roster, and see the impact that they've made. Sometimes in limited minutes. So it's a difficult job to have an impact, and a positive impact, especially when you're playing limited minutes. But it's part of that role, and it's what it's what you need to bring to the table. And I thought those guys did a good job of that last night.
Do you see a little extra hunger out of the guys that haven't played in every game but are coming in as scratches?
It's not even really about those. It's not about just those guys. I mean, it's really being able to so to speak, if you want to say push from depth areas. There's those types of performances. Over time can lead to greater roles. Right, and that's something that's on, that's available for everybody. So it's not it's not just competing to be in the lineup. It's it's doing a good job when when you are in the lineup, and then having the consistency in performances to grow that role, which really pushes from the bottom up for everybody, and that's been really important for us. And we're so early on. I can tell you that's going to remain extremely important for us.
How much of a help has it been that you've received offense up and down the lineup so far this season, instead of just relying on one group or one line to generate that for you?
Well, you can't win with one line or one group providing offense. So for us, it's extremely important, and something that we've talked about, needing depth throughout our lineup. 200-foot play, two-way play, depth, but also depth in terms of our scoring ability, especially at 5-on-5. I mean, it's hard to score in this league. It gets harder and harder as you get into the middle portion and the stretch of the season. Things tighten up and it gets harder. So to have different guys contributing is gonna be very, very important for us.
Your defense corps has done a good job sort of standing up at their own blue line a lot more lately. Has that been a point of emphasis, or is that just better execution on their part?
You know what? It's been actually a strength of our group. If you look all the way back through last year in terms of the defensive play of this group, we've started off soft in a couple of areas defensively, and that's something that needs to improve. And we were rock solid in some of those areas that we wanted to improve in last night. But it's a matter of doing that on a nightly basis. So it's not just gaps and playing the rush. It's it's what you do with things from there once you're in your zone as well. And equally important, it's the execution coming out once you do work hard to get that puck back.
What are some of those areas of improvement you mentioned you're looking for?
Just inside. How hard you are to play against inside.
You have an extremely desperate, winless Vancouver team coming to town. How much is that going to factor into the conversation beforehand?
It won't. We've got our focus on what we need to do, and that's 100% where it is.
A little ticked off they beat you all 4 times last year, so a little extra motivation maybe.
Our focus is going to be exactly what I said, on ourselves and what we need to do to be successful. our win last night is a good win for us. We're sitting at 500. We have an opportunity to push some momentum in our building. So that's what it's about in our dressing room, setting ourselves up for success.
Dave, you talked after that Carolina game how that was the standard kind of game for your hockey team.
That was actually St. Louis.
Oh, sorry, yeah, St. Louis. But since then, you guys have played pretty well for the most part. Since then, looking back on it, was that game a watershed moment of sorts?
I think it's, I think that would be a pretty big statement to speak to. We played hard in that game. We dug ourselves out of a hole and regained our composure. From there, that was a really important point at home. From there, we've been pretty good on the road all year long. We were pretty disappointed with our outcome and parts of our performance in Chicago. But for the most part, we've been a very good road team early on in this year. And that's why coming back home last night, reestablishing, a good 60 minutes on home ice was really important for us. Now the challenge is to, extend that and keep pushing that momentum here at home.
Good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks so much.